Hello, everyone. It's Making Move Micro Realty Executives Dylan. I'm here with Andy Cruz of Mortgage Hero, and we're happy to have you with us here today. We're going to be discussing crash or cruise control. What will happen with the housing market? So, basically, I wanted to say is that the housing market is pretty hot right now for sellers, at least. Buyers is still having some challenges. However, I'm seeing a little bit of not relaxing, but a little bit of easing in the difficulty for buyers to find a home and get their offers accepted.
Yep.
So I was reading this morning, basically, Realtor.com suggests that we might have made it past the peak of the market. I'm seeing
possible.
Yeah, I'm seeing some signs of that, but again, I've also seen it in the not too distant past where we thought we were past the peak, and then boom, demand just shot up, and it just the supply being low and interest rates low, that just kind of kept prices surging.
There's one thing I think that is fueling that possibility, which is there's still new construction happening through 2021 and kind of spilling over into 2022 here in our local market, where because there's so much demand, the developers are still building. Yes. I mean, I was driving by a new plan the other day. I'm like, this is all still dirt, but man, they are working fast. Right. And there will be homes on that site in the next 6, 7, 8 months, which means that they're expecting that this buyer demand that's still here right now, it's easily going to soak up those 150, 200, 250 homes easily. Yes. There's way more buyers than that. Yeah. So I still think that's going to keep prices where they're at. And I think that people's ability to afford it, the affordability ratio of cost of money versus price of home is still intact. I don't think that's totally threatened yet. So I think we are, in some senses, maybe past that. But here locally, I think we got a little bit more to go.
Yeah, it's cheap to borrow money right now. I think that's helping that. And I also want to say, what's helping one of the things that may be causing the lack of supply is fear, and that could be fear of the market. That could be fear, that's caused by loss of job or loss of income or loss of a job. But money's cheap again. So,
but fear. Sorry, just real quick about the fear thing. I'm actually seeing it on both sides a little bit. Not totally, but what I mean is you see some fear. Actually, let me rephrase it. You see hesitation with some sellers because they're like, well, I don't want to sell my house because there's no place for me to move to, or they think there's no place for them to move to. But then you have hesitation with buyers saying, I'm not going to participate in this market. Yeah. Every time I go make an offer, I'm bidding against 20 other people, and I'm always offered 19 or 20. So so people that are kind of on the fringe of that emotional experience, there is some hesitation happening on the fringe. Right. Not happening at the core yet, but there's hesitation on the fringe.
Yeah. I know from firsthand experience. I've had buyers tell me that they're worried, they're concerned about the market taking a dive after they purchase, which I'm not seeing any signs of that because, as we mentioned in previous videos, lending standards are much higher than what they were back in 2007, 8, 9, 10, prior to the market crashing. But prices are going up, and despite that, payments, the cost of payments are going down, or the dollar amount of the payments are remaining relatively low because interest rates are low, and it's it's cheap to borrow money right now. So again, our goal right here is to provide information for you in the real estate game, and we just want to make sure you're well informed about what's going on in the market as we're seeing it, because we're here working in this market day to day, every day. So, and I want to mention another thing about when the crash, there was a lot of similar activity, or there is some similarities, but the activity is a little different.
The mechanisms are different.
Yeah. And where that is the lending standards back then are much different from what they are now. Back then you had liar loans or ninja loans, I call them. No income, no job, and you're approved.
No assets.
That too. And you had negative amortization loans, adjustable rate mortgage, and interest-only loans where you're making payments, but your loan balance is increasing. So that's one of the huge differences.
Well, people were over leveraged and underqualified. over leveraged and underqualified at the same time, because there was like this frenzy in the market of, oh, well, we're making all this money available because we want to increase the percentage of home ownership in the United States. So build more homes and give as many people loans as possible. Well, the only way to broaden the spectrum of who can qualify is to reduce the standards.
Yes.
So you only get more people across that threshold by reducing the standard. Unless you're going to shove people more money for work and make them have higher wages, you have to lower the bar to get them across that line of home ownership in some cases. That's what happened.
Right.
So it's like, oh, you got a good credit score? Well, then we don't need any income documentation. We don't need to know any assets. You don't even have to state that you're employed.
Right.
So that was the ninja: no income, no job, no assets. Right?
Yeah.
And there's the Nina: no income, no assets. There was all these 100% loans, so they were over leveraged. And then not only could you get a 100% loan, an 80-20, 80% first, 20% second, but then it could be negative amortization. To your point, which means you're paying less than the interest due every month. And the interest that's unpaid gets tacked onto the loan balance.
Hence, your mortgage balance goes up.
Because the idea was, oh, well, house prices are on the rise and they'll just keep going. So at the same time, it was kind of like this self-fulfilling prophecy. You're like, oh, well, yeah, house prices are rising because it's so easy for us to just give people money. And it was easy for them to get money, so they felt they could qualify for more, but they were getting over leveraged, and then the money that they could actually afford was underpaying what was due on the interest only, which was just making the problem worse. We don't have those problems right now.
Thank
you have
goodness.
the highest rate of equity nationwide than ever right now. So there's more equity in homes right now than there has ever been in the history of the records being kept in the United States. And that is, I think, one of the main things that makes me feel confident that we will not have a collapse like last time. If there is a correction, corrections are normal. But people have equity this time and they can sell before they have to foreclose.
Exactly. I agree 100%. And one thing I want to mention about adjustable rate mortgages that people had is that when that loan payment jumped significantly, that created issues for homeowners. They weren't able to afford it anymore. And on top of that, they owed more than what the home was worth. So that created that created a rapid increase in the supply of homes hitting the market. So that's when the crash began.
And remind everybody, who's selling the house when you owe more on the house than it's worth? The bank. The bank's on the house, not you, because the bank's the one who's owed the money. So now the bank's the one selling the house.
Exactly. And right now, as we mentioned earlier, lender standards are higher to help prevent that.
Correct.
And now you have, instead of you having an adjustable rate mortgage, you have a fixed mortgage with the payment will not go up. Your taxes may go up because the value of the home will go up, but the mortgage payment itself should not go up.
Well, and even in taxes usually they'll only go up for like bond measures that are ballot connected. So, the tax rate for the county is 1%, but then depending on the neighborhood, there might be other things that you pay for, mosquito pest control, colleges, that kind of thing. But the only thing I've noticed in the history of being a homeowner is that when my taxes go up, it's because of bond measures that were passed that have a specific start date. Like, starting 2023, this new bond measure gets added, so your taxes will, change.
And these are bond measures that we all vote on.
That we vote for.
In that community. So.
You want better roads? Tax.
So another thing that's in our favor is that, back in 2007, 8, 9, it was about 45% of homes were purchased without a down payment versus about 17% now. So that's significantly less. And now, again, as I mentioned earlier, home buyers that are sellers now have equity. There's been increased seller. Well, as of late, there's been a little bit of increase in seller activity compared to last year, but still not significant enough to where it's meeting demand. Or demand is meeting supply head to head now. When supply outpaces demand, then maybe it'll stabilize or correct, as Andy mentioned earlier.
And prices will go down when people start saying no. When a seller's like, hey, I need $800,000 for this house, and the buyers all go, nah. Then the seller goes, okay, so $795? No. $790? Yeah, maybe. Then now you get getting warmer. It takes that to happen though. That has to shift before there's a flattening or a correction.
You'll start seeing like a slowdown in the listing price growth, and
Right.
and you'll see homes selling. They're still selling fast, but they're not selling as fast as they had previously been selling. So that's
Right.
that's one of the things, or one of the indications that I'm seeing in the market right now within certain neighborhoods. But and price growth is noticeably moderating.
Yeah.
And so, and another thing, regarding the market for that may have effect on the market, I should say, is foreclosure and forbearance due to loss of income or job. So that may increase some of the supply, but I don't think it's enough to overwhelm the market with such a huge supply of homes that it drives prices down in 2008, because homeowners have equity. So when they sell now, if they're in foreclosure or they can't get a loan modification after going through forbearance, they're just going to sell, take all their cash out, maybe rent for a few months or a year or so, and
go from there.
And then go from there.
And the other thing you got to remember, like the people that whether it's a bank or a loan servicer, whoever's taking back the house, if the forbearance doesn't work out, or if it goes into foreclosure because the homeowner can't pay, like whoever that selling entity becomes, it doesn't work in their favor to release all the homes at once. Right. It defeats the purpose of them trying to get the maximum value for dollar on the sale of that asset if they release all million of them at once. Yeah. If we're talking maybe 5,000 homes, 10,000 homes in the whole country, not a big deal. If you're talking about like literally millions of people still in forbearance and those all became foreclosures, those cannot hit the market all at the same time, because it defeats the purpose of them trying to get as much money as possible back for the loss of the asset.
No.
So it just mathematically doesn't work in their favor to do it. So I'm hoping that there will be a little bit more of a meticulous method to it. And also, here's another thing. There is a lot of pressure from the government, from FHFA, on the mortgage servicers to work out payment plans with homeowners so that they avoid foreclosure. Right. It's not just so they avoid foreclosure because there's a moratorium, but once the moratorium is over, they want homeowners to stay in their homes. Because if they don't, you have another housing problem on your hand, which is you're displacing people that did have a roof over their head, and now they don't. Now what do we do about that?
Yes, and believe it or not, the banks, lenders, they frown against foreclosing a home. They actually want you to retain that home and remain in it and pay them. Because
that's how they make their money.
Yeah,
by making payments to them.
It creates a problem for them, believe it or not, when they have to foreclose on a homeowner. So just
it costs money to sell a house when you're a bank. Not just the normal fees and stuff, but you have your own internal costs as a company to have people whose job it is to sell that asset that went belly up.
Yes, and now thankfully we have more resources, or banks have more resources and things that they can do to help out homeowners to keep their home, and avoid having what happened in 2008, 9, and 10, where the market crashed with this huge increase in the supply of homes. I use the analogy of let's fill your cup with a water or with a fire hose. It's not going to work out that well. So if you just use the sink tap, it'll fill that cup slower, and then the market gradually corrects instead of being overwhelmed with the supply of homes, and then the market crashing and then affecting everyone. So banks are not, and we've all learned from that. I think banks included, and that's something that I think consumers, banks, whomever, you name it, are looking to avoid. Because it had such a drastic effect and on our economy and on our country and the world, for that matter. So,
and if I'm going to take one positive aspect out of what happened before, is that it did cause financial reform that was necessary. That we should not be giving loans to people for free with no validation and verification of their income, that they're employed, that they can actually make the payment. Like that was silly. That was silly. It's not the used car lot where it's like you're paying. There's actually less qualification for a loan back then in some cases than there was for a used car. It's like no money down. Your paycheck is what do they say? There's little commercials like your pay stub is your is your application
is your
or is your qualification?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you get a paycheck. Like, it's like, it just makes no sense that we're going to do that for a $500,000 house or a $750,000 house.
That reminds me of the when I was in the active duty in the Navy, whether I was on the East Coast or whether we're here on the West Coast, where you see a lot of used car lots surrounding the base, and your LES qualifies you for a car loan, and you go in there and you're E1, E2, E3, and you're getting charged. I had a friend get charged 28% interest on a Cadillac that was 10 years old. It was ridiculous, and I was about 19, 20 years old, and I knew that was wrong. I knew he was, he did not make the best financial decision for himself with that car.
That's rough right there.
But so it's a huge lesson learned. But again, I don't see the housing market crashing. When it will correct, I don't know. We're seeing little signs. And with that being said, there could be some things that trigger it to remain or can trigger it to keep prices going in this direction and delay the stabilization or normalization of the market. So if you can get in and it makes sense for you and your family, I recommend it. If not, it's okay to wait and do what's right for you. You have a lot more information, a lot more things that you can use in your tool belt to help you prepare for home ownership. And I think that's what you should do before you take that leap.
I think that's the takeaway from today's conversation is, regardless of what the market is doing, whether it's crash or cruise control, like we're talking at the very top of this, is call Mike, call me, talk to us, and let us assess and apply all these different things we're talking about into your situation and uncover what is the right move based on what you know to be true in your life, what you're trying to accomplish, and what we see is happening in the marketplace, because it's what we're doing every single day. So just if you're in a situation where you're watching this and you need help, just let us know you need help. We won't tell everyone else. We won't come on the next show and go, oh, hey, David over there asked for help. No, you have a private conversation with us. You tell us what's going on, and we'll help you make the best choice that serves what you need real estate and mortgage to serve in your life.
Yes, exactly. So thank you, everyone, for being with us today. We're happy to have you. If you have any questions or comments or concerns about what we discussed today, please reach out to Andy and I, either direct message us or call or text us. We'd be happy to give you some great information and help you with whatever you need. So take care, everyone, and have a great rest of your week.